Hello everyone, this is Keith Jowers, founder of Dads for Life, here to talk to you about another daily connection that you can make with your children. Kind of goes along with the word we had yesterday, which was respect, and today I want to talk about the word caring. How can you make your child feel like they are truly cared for at home? I'm not talking about just feeding them or washing their clothes or preparing them for the day, but I'm talking about when they really have a problem. Do you really sit there and listen to them? Do you look them in the eyes, or do you watch television and say, yes, I hear you? Or are you reading a book and say, okay, sure, and you don't even know what they said? Sometimes kids have related that to me, that their parents just really weren't listening to them. So I can tell you that when you sit down and talk with them and you look them in the eye and you truly listen to them by even maybe repeating some of the things they say to you, just to clarify some things, they kind of get a sense that maybe you do really care for them. Now, as our parents, obviously, we do care about our children, but I'm talking about just taking it a step further and just truly spending some time with them, a little bit of extra sometimes, to let them know that when they're in your home and when they're around you, that you care enough to know what's going on with them. Some tips I want to help you think about today is simply that when you're greeting them in the morning, or you're greeting them when they're coming home from school or from a friend's house, or let them know that you truly do know that they're in the house. Give them a hug, or maybe I love you, or I missed you, or something like that, that lets them know that, hey, mom and dad really did miss me. Another thing is remember their birthdays and special occasions, maybe an event at school, and you remember that they're having that and you show up at that. And at their birthdays or special occasions, you really make it a big deal. Sometimes parents make it a really big deal, but I'm talking about just letting them know that you've kind of gone an extra mile for them, to care for them. When communicating with them in person, don't look down on them all the time. I try to get down on my knees or squat down to where I can actually talk to a child eyeball to eyeball. And that kind of makes them feel really important. I have a young niece like that, and I'll get down and talk to her, and she always wants to give me a hug when I do so. Actually, she wants to give me a hug most of the time, but usually when I get down and look at her straight eye to eye, she wants to hug me right away. So we want to make sure that we're not always just looking down on them and kind of standing over them and talking to them. We want to make sure we're eyeball to eyeball with them. When your children are telling you a story, truly listen and really get that point across to them that you know that you heard them. Hug them often, as I mentioned, and tell them thank you, and maybe say please when you're asking them a question. I know some of these things are a little bit more than what we normally would do as a parent, but it really lets them know a little bit more that you really do have their best interest at heart, because you're caring enough to spend some extra time and doing some of these things. So letting them know that you care for them by telling them you love them and hugging them, hey, that's always a great thing to do with your children. So until next time, it's Keith Jowers for Dads for Life saying, go out and encourage, enhance, and enrich someone's life today or tomorrow, making sure you start with your children, because they truly do benefit from it the most.